This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to ngscsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Right now, they're getting the practice and it's gorgeous. Yeah, as soon as the season starts, the first 3 weeks, it won't break like 43 degrees.
Oh, of course, because that's
You got to get that old bat sting, sir.
Yeah, because it's just not high school and college baseball if you don't just hurt your hands as badly as you can.
Like for Wesley, I'm sure I haven't looked at the schedule. I'm sure I know Wesleyan's already been playing for a few weeks at least.
Well, let's.
I mean, Division III always start. Division III starts first, then Division II, and then Division I. So I think Division I starts next weekend.
Well, let's see. Battling Bishops. When are they going here? Let's see. Calendar.
I passed them pulling out of the parking lot there, so they must have been on the road today.
Behind the Bishops. Wait, is that like an actual thing? Baseball. That just sounds weird. Baseball versus Eastern Mennonites. 11 a.m. on February 9th. 11 a.m. Holy shit, that's terrible.
That's Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, they're probably playing doubleheader.
Yeah, that's true. So
have they already played a few games, I guess?
Let me check out here. Let me just go on the entire baseball schedule. Let's see what we got here. Nope, that's their first game.
Really? God, I've been by there. Maybe they've just been scrimmaging a lot. Because I've been by there and seen people in the stands and them playing some. So.
No, yeah, you're right. They're playing a 7 inning doubleheader Saturday, and then another game Sunday, and that's their opening series.
Oh wow!
Let me see.
I thought usually D3 was starting at the very end of January. So,
when does UVA start? Figuring.
Well, because I think App starts next weekend, and I think App starts at Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, so February. So yeah, Virginia starts next week. They're actually going. This is actually kind of cool. They're playing in like one of those little tournaments, but this one's in Scottsdale. Here are the four teams that are going to be there. It's them, Vanderbilt, TCU, and Fullerton.
Oh, Fullerton! I figured Arizona State would be
there. That's a fucking loaded set of games. Holy shit!
Oh, yeah.
And the first game against Vanderbilt's going to be on the MLB Network.
Ooh.
Damn.
I'm planning to go to Boone at least once this spring. I might try to pull it twice this spring. Because I was looking at weekends where I'm off, and they got some home series on weekends that I'm off. So
nice. Are they going to be good this year?
They should be better. Britt said he thinks they brought in some players to improve. I mean, they knew going in that was going to be a build.
Oh, sure.
Because they didn't want to just go straight JUCO and have to turn over every year.
Right.
So now they bring in some JUCOs, but they've really committed to building from the ground up there. And
good.
He said they're happy with what they got coming this year. And they feel since they've gotten there that the recruiting's really picked up.
That's good. That's good.
That's all he can do. Man.
Just build from within and then go get you an 80 million pound central field defender.
There you go.
That's all you need to go win a title.
All you have to do is just build one from within, have him transfer, and then take his transfer fees. And completely fix your defense.
There you go. That's all it takes, maybe, for some teams to win the Premier League. We'll talk about why all of a sudden that's maybe, as it's been a crazy week in the Premier League that we'll be getting to here on the Foreign Affair Podcast, episode 248. Myself, Edward Green, joined as always by McCall in Crime, who's munching on something over there. I
just thought about that. I'll finish with that one.
Oh, it's fine. Wes Bradshaw, what are you munching on, my friend?
That is a old-time fatback skin.
Sounds delicious. Fatback.
As it said, like Mama's pan fried.
That's some mamas, not my mama, unfortunately, but some mamas. That's a different kind of South she's from. We're gonna
the deep South.
Yeah, the very deep South.
Very deep South.
Penguins are by that South. So we're going to get to the Premier League, of course, recap the week that was in there. I will mention the FA Cup replays that took place very briefly. A couple did.
Sure.
Yay, whoop-de-fucking-do. Nobody cares anymore. Man City's going to win. Who cares?
As we know, there are only 2 cups that really matter.
Exactly. We'll also do a quick preview of next week's Champions League as the knockout stage gets started. For there, half the teams will be in action starting next week. And then we'll hit the news and notes, a few transfer news to go over, then the watch for and so raw. As always, the Foreign Affair Podcast is brought to you by NGSC Sports and NGSCSports.com. We never stop, as well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. Hey, is there a Patriots fan in your life? Get them some Patriots-themed gear and furniture.
Damn right there are.
Hey, is there a Rams fan in your life? Get them some gear and perk up their spirits. Statistically speaking, if I believe my math is right on this, if we get about 5 million listeners from the United States to this podcast, I believe at least 2 of them will know a Rams fan.
Well, all you have to do is know us, and you know a quasi-Rams fan.
That's true. We're a fan of exactly one Rams player.
We're a fan of exactly one NFL player. So.
Yes, he just happens to play in.
I was to play for the Rams.
I was about to play. He just happens to play in St. Louis, but that's wrong.
That would be wrong, Ed Green. No, he doesn't have to live in that horrible town of St. Louis.
That's true.
He gets to live in that Eden of the world, Los Angeles.
Oh, the city of angels. We might talk about that a little bit.
Where nothing bad ever happens, and everyone lives at the beach.
Exactly. It's a utopia, really. So the point is, if you want to get gear, go to Alicia's Pillows and Things. You can find her shop on Facebook. All right, Wes, let's dive into the week that was in the Premier League.
We love you, Todd.
We do so much. We're so sorry. I've lost my train of thought. Back to the Premier League. Here we go. Matches that didn't really matter that much. Everton falls 3-1 at home to Wolves in what started what would be a not great sort of week for Everton, which has been part of a not so great season for Everton, which just is in a not so great, I don't know, decade or...
But hey, they made the dictionary.
Oh, poor Everton. So Wolves get a winner there from Raul Jimenez in the 45th minute after Everton had tied it up from Andre Gomes in the midway through the first half. Crystal Palace with a 2-0 victory over Fulham. Mila Jovovich with a goal in that one from the penalty spot in the 25th minute. And Jeffrey Shipp put it away in the 87th minute. Burnley, they went hard into the transfer market and got old Peter Crouch, and he was key in them coming back against Southampton to get a point. His play in the box earned Burnley a penalty at the death, and Ashley Barnes was on hand to put it away for Burnley to draw Southampton 1-1. Brighton and Hove and Watford played to a 0-0 draw at the Amex. It happened. Trust us, 30,000 people allegedly were there to see it. Cardiff beats Bournemouth 2-0. That's a big win for Cardiff on an emotional day at Cardiff after the tragedy, of course, with Emiliano Sala having his plane go down as he was going to be their record-signing transfer coming over. Of course, his flight never made it to Cardiff. And we'll have a little bit more about that in news and notes, but a delightful tribute from Cardiff during the match. And then Cardiff with the 2 big goals, thanks to one being a penalty and the second one from open play from Bobby Reed. Also had a little t-shirt on hand with Salah's face on it that they were able to show off after the goal. So good win for Cardiff on the weekend. As we hit, that's pretty much all that doesn't matter, I guess, as I look through it. So we'll start back at the beginning real quickly as we start to talk about matches that do sort of matter. Tottenham do get a 1-0 victory against Newcastle. Rafa said, I just want to make the Premier League race just a little bit more interesting, I guess. Heung-min Son with a goal in the 83rd minute to save Tottenham again. This man has been dynamite. I believe he has scored 14 goals in his past 10 matches in all competitions. Just a fantastic run of form this young man has been on all season long. And Son once again comes to the rescue for Spurs. As Wes, it was so much bad news, and yet all of a sudden, we've seen the Instas from Harry Kane and Dele Alli. They're back to on-the-ball training in delightfully temperate climate training locations. I believe Harry Kane was actually in the States.
Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly. So you can check out the Super Bowl. Dele is, I believe, at in the Emirates. Somewhere out there training. So he's taking advantage of the warm weather. They're maybe making a soon return. And through that time, yes, there was all that cup stuff. But Tottenham have kept winning in the Premier League. And all of a sudden, they're about 5 points back of first place. Not that I think they're going to win the title or anything, but quietly, Tottenham, without really playing great football for more than a few matches this year, are once again near the top of the table in the Premier League.
Harry's in the States.
Why is that, Wes?
Harry's in the States talking to Atlanta United because he wants to win trophies, and Spurs don't win trophies.
Did you see, I don't know if you follow Arlo White on Twitter, or not on Twitter, on Instagram. He was out taking his dog for a walk, and at one point he was talking about the title race and blah blah blah, and he goes, and this is a lovely little chapel here, built around the 13th century, and he goes, that was the last time Spurs won a trophy, ha ha ha. I'm sorry, I hate jokes like that. People really need to stop that. Mauricio Pochettino has been doing an absolutely fantastic job at Spurs and deserves all the credit in the world. I was like, oh, okay, thanks. So that was pretty great.
I did see something the other day. Just some random shit popped up and said, it has now been 4,000 days since Spurs last won a trophy. I was like, fuck these people. Oh my god. Kiss our ass. Seriously. How long's it been since Everton won one, you dickhead?
Seriously.
Fuck Everton. Fuck Everton. For Spurs, obviously the return of Sun Ming Hung, that's huge. Missing, it takes a little bit of the burden off. Missing one or two of your big three, that's tough. That's brutal. Missing all three of them, that's mission impossible.
Yeah.
Especially in this league. Not to say you can't get a result, but if you want to achieve your goals, you've got to have your best players. For Spurs, getting Sonny back, and he scored a really, really nice winner the other day for him. It's big. It's huge. It instills some confidence in the team. It brings some balance back to the squad. Now a guy who is a proven goal scorer for you. Okay, hey man, you're going to be the guy to carry the load for a while. Instead of it having to, excuse me, Jesus, it's been a long day. Instead of having to put it on the likes of say an Eric Lamela. Or even a Christian Eriksen, who Eriksen is a good goal scorer, don't get me wrong, but he does his playing so well off of Ali, off of Son, and off of Kane. When everyone knows he's your guy who's got to try to score goals, it's not quite the same for him.
Sure.
So getting him and Son, that's a good start back for Spurs. As you said, both Kane and Dele Alli are somewhat back in training. Not full training, but training nonetheless, and that's only going to help going forward. And, with Liverpool's kind of blips here over the last few weeks, Spurs have quietly got themselves back within touching distance in this title race.
Absolutely.
And it's just in the Premier League. I guess Jurgen said before, never say never.
Yeah.
So I still think Spurs are a very definite third horse in this 3-horse race, we'll say.
Sure.
I think we both still think it's more of a 2-horse race with Spurs kind of back there still galloping.
Mm-hmm.
But, if Spurs just take care of their business, see where things may fall, and crazier shit has happened. I mean, Leicester won the Premier League. Of course, it hadn't been 4,000 days since Leicester won a trophy. But I mean, that's for Spurs, man. Just go out, do your job. And the good thing for Spurs is they can kind of do it under the radar here, because everyone is focusing on Pep. Pep having to chase somebody, and can Liverpool hold their nerve? That's all anybody's talking about. Nobody's talking about shit. Spurs are 5 back. And they're 5 back. Life's not over here. So I think they have firmly planted themselves in that 3rd place spot. With the 3 teams competing behind them, they've opened a nice lead over them. And also with that group, it's going to be a slugfest to see who pulls it out at the end. But I think Spurs are very close to achieving what I guess is their biggest goal every year, which is securing that top 4 finish. And, hey, let's see if they can kick on and maybe make something else happen.
Absolutely. And I agree 100% with everything you said about Spurs and their title race chances. They are the definite 3rd horse in a 2-horse race, I think. I don't disagree with you at all in that. It is going to come down to Liverpool and Man City unless something bizarre happens. But I will say this. I was watching the Man City Arsenal match on Sunday, and it was pretty deep into the match when it was 3-1 and pretty much in hand for City. And Arlo, who was part of the 3-man booth, turned the talk to the title race. And, Liverpool, City, who's it going to be? And Graham Lasso kind of threw out, well, what about Spurs? And Lee Dixon goes, well, it's not going to be Spurs. And and he's like, why not? He's like, well, it's because it's fuck you. Like,
exactly.
I'm not even saying like Spurs aren't favorites. Spurs really shouldn't win the title this year, but still, fuck you.
Don't forget also you're listening to a.
I know, but fuck you.
That doesn't help.
Fuck you though.
Of course, we know what he's going to say. More interesting. We're sitting on 13 more matches this season. I want to see if Spurs can have a perfect season with no draws.
Hey, here's hoping. The undrawables, baby.
They're still sitting on it. Next closest is City has 2 draws. And Spurs sitting here 19 wins, 6 losses, 0 draws.
Yeah.
So, attention.
Oh, that's amazing.
See, there's something to play for.
Absolutely. There's a trophy at the end of the season for us.
We will not kiss our sisters, damn it.
Not
even once.
Hell no. This is in Alabama. Let's move on to Chelsea versus Huddersfield. Chelsea with a 5-0 romp over the bottom team in the league. Gonzalo Higuain opens his account for the Blues as he scores twice. And Hazard, enjoy him while you can, I guess, Stamford Bridge. He also hit a brace. And David Luiz added the 5th one on.
It's nice for Hazard when he gets to play his actual position, doesn't it?
Yeah, not too bad. And he enjoyed some success. Maybe a little bit of the pressure off after a couple of duds laid in the Premier League for Chelsea, taking a little bit of the pressure off of Emiliano. Oh God, I've totally butchered his first name. Sorry, we're just gonna call him Sorry. But it is sort of interesting for Chelsea right now. They're running very hot and cold, and with the news coming out this week that Hazard's like, well, yeah, I want to go to Madrid this summer, guys. So thanks.
So make it happen.
Yeah, I never. It's always something with Chelsea. It just can't be smooth sailing all the way through. It's always something. But I guess this win does get them back to winning ways. It does get them back steady in the Premier League as they have to go back to Europe in a little bit. But of course, this does foreshadow a big matchup coming this weekend against Manchester City, and in a couple weeks against Spurs, and that'll really help determine their top 4 aspirations for the year.
Looking at Chelsea this week, good for Mauricio Sarri. Didn't have to chuck his team under a bus this week. That was a plus for him. Good job. Yay. Good job, Mo Sarri. As for Hazard, because that is kind of what's taking the piss here, is Eden Hazard. To me, I feel at this point in his career, Hazard's given Chelsea everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's won everything other than the Champions League. Let's put it this way. He's won multiple Premier Leagues with them. Mm-hmm. He's been their best player. He's helped carry them. And for a lot of players, there is that step up in their career that they want to take. He's not an Englishman. He's a Belgian. So he doesn't have that born-in loyalty to the Premier League. It's always said about South American players, but there's a lot of players in the world. They want to play for Madrid or they want to play for Barcelona. Mm-hmm. And if you're one of those players, few players who are good enough and are at that level to be able to do it, there comes a time where you've kind of got to push your chips at the table. For Hazard, I believe he's 28, or he's up in his late 20s. I think he kind of held back from really pushing for that move this past summer, mm-hmm. kind of to help the club a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I think I've got to believe there was some sort of backroom agreement like, look, just stick around for this season, and we're not saying we'll definitely do it, but we will really, really explore that option of, getting you to Madrid next summer. Mm-hmm. For Chelsea, you run the risk of keeping a guy who doesn't want to be there. We've talked about this ad nauseum for mm-hmm. years now. It is a slippery slope that you play when you've got a guy who don't want to be there. And Chelsea have just gone through that, with Diego Costa. A guy who didn't want to be there, and when he didn't want to be there, he became a cancer. He became a massive distraction. Mm-hmm. He may have downed skills. His skills may have just downed themselves, as we're kind of seeing going forward. But, so Chelsea have firsthand knowledge of this. Obviously now you've got a manager who's, run the Greyhound over him here the last month. That certainly can't be a positive for him. Really at this point, if you're Chelsea, get the best deal you can and go reinvest that money. We've seen it happen in the Premier League. Liverpool obviously being the poster boys for that. Take the money, go, reallot it in your team. Of course, as soon as that happened, now the first rumor we're hearing is, they'll look to replace him with Coutinho.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Here's the thing. To me, Eden Hazard is a fantastic player. He's one of the top players in the world. Mm-hmm. That said, I don't see Eden Hazard on that level where, a club like Chelsea, let's put a club like Chelsea, I don't see why a club like Chelsea can't sell an Eden Hazard and go get a player of equal talent and skill and ability, mm-hmm. even if he's not the same player. If you go get a Coutinho, that's a fantastic player to replace him with. Yeah, mm-hmm. Coutinho doesn't play the same as him, but he is a left-sided forward who can score goals, can lay on assists. Just what I'm saying is, to me, Eden Hazard is not this irreplaceable figure for Chelsea. Mm-hmm. I think they can, if they're smart and go out and work the market. Why couldn't you replace an Eden Hazard? Go get the money, and maybe you can replace 2 positions and strengthen that squad going forward.
Well, and that is the key thing, though, is being smart with your decision making, and Chelsea haven't always been smart.
Let's see if you keep the same manager. Always so many good questions with Chelsea.
So many. Well, a team that didn't keep their manager and seems to be the better off for it, Manchester United, with another.
I don't know. I still think they should have kept Josie.
I agree, sir. I agree. They go on the road and beat Leicester 1-0. Marcus Rashford unleashed now under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He gets the victory for United as a very game Leicester unfortunately could not find a goal past David De Gea. Another win for United West in the Premier League as they just keep ramping this up. And obviously we just talked about Chelsea. Arsenal have already now fallen behind United in the pecking order. It just seems like at this point there's not a whole lot that can stop United. Again, there's this whole schedule thing, but I mean, since making the managerial change, they've beaten Tottenham, they've beaten Leicester, both on the road, right. And now, of course, their reckoning might come a little bit later, where they have Liverpool at home. But then in March, when they have Arsenal and Manchester City back to back, with the former of those being,
or as we'll say, they've got Manchester City.
That is true. But the Arsenal match is on the road, so who knows? But
it might tire them out a little bit.
There you go. Hey, maybe somebody picks up a knock. You never know. But Wes, this is a much more free flowing United team that is just able to take advantage of the young talent it always had and is finally putting it to good use.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, it was always there, and it was kind of that catch-22 for a United hater, which I'm 100% one, and I believe you're about 99.9% one.
Oh, yeah.
You had to – we've talked about balance already in the show. You had to strike a balance. Yes, you wanted Josie to fall flat on his face, but you want him to do just well enough to keep his job.
Yes.
Because I always felt as long as Mourinho was there, this team was not going to progress. They were going to have issues. I was really, really, really hoping that they would sell Pogba before they fired Mourinho.
Oh, yes.
I've been talking about that for 2 years. Like, just please sell Pogba, then you can fire Mourinho. Because this is kind of what I was afraid of, was that the right guy was going to come in. Or basically not even the right guy. Just anyone not named Jose Mourinho was going to come in and set Pogba, basically unleash Pogba. And he has seemed to find his new best friend on earth on the field in Marcus Rashford. And those two are just doing a fantastic job together. The good times keep coming. Anthony Martial signed a new contract, which... God, 3 months ago, they were basically buying his plane ticket out of town.
Yeah.
Because he's like, fuck no, I'm not re-signing with Mourinho. You can kiss my ass on that. Money, I don't give a shit how much you're going to pay me. I ain't playing for that dickhead. Well, now within 2 months, he signed a new contract. So, things are definitely looking up for United. Every week, every win kind of puts a notch into the belt of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to possibly stake claim to becoming the manager full-time of Manchester United. Now, that said, there are still major issues within that club that winning on the field right now can't totally mask. They have massive issues in the board, in the directorship, in the day-to-day running of this club. They still have massive issues. Do you trust a guy in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to help dictate your transfer market when, he's done a great job coming in, but this guy, he's never run the show. Well, he has somewhat run the show for a Premier League team, and they got relegated badly. Are you going to trust him to be the guy to go out and do your summer shopping? And, of course, at the top, they've still got the same guy running it.
Yeah.
and that's the scary part. The thought around, are they going to hire a director of football? Just so many questions that go into running this club. Right now, though, it's a great run of form, and that has taken some pressure off that front office. and it's got the feel-good factor ramped up, and the fact that it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who is a United legend, and also it is the connection back to the good old days with Sir Alex. So, I mean, there's a lot to do still at Manchester United, but for now they have really bought some goodwill with this run that they're on.
Yes, who knew playing attack, beautiful football would be a good thing with the fans.
And when you spent millions of pounds, or when you spent hundreds of millions of pounds on attacking players.
Yeah, crazy.
Go figure. Let's buy all these attacking players and let's play shit defense with a shit defense that we don't put any money into. So.
Yeah, still have Eric Bailly back there, so you know. There is that. Moving on to the other side of Manchester, as the Citizens hosted Arsenal on Sunday. Sergio Aguero with the hat trick, including the first goal just about 30 seconds into the match. It was quickly answered just 10 minutes later by Arsenal as Laurent Koscielny scored off a set piece for Arsenal to level things at 1. But Aguero scored again right before the half, and then on just about the hour mark to ice the game for City and bring them back up the table. And Wes, it does seem like, you know, you did kind of mention it earlier when we were talking about Spurs and Pep. How is he going to do now with chasing a lead instead of actually being the leader? And I do remember somebody else actually mentioned it or wrote about it. It's kind of weird because Pep, I think actually might have been Arlo that mentioned it. Pep is a guy who likes to play from up front and lead the pack. Liverpool is a team that might like to actually try to catch up to a team and try to hunt you down. And both of them are playing the reverse role right now. So it's interesting to see City, especially after falling completely flat against Newcastle just a week prior, come out and get a big win against Arsenal and then get a 2-0 victory today at Everton, you know, for whatever Everton is doing these days.
That's worth.
Yeah, exactly. But it is 2 wins, and at this moment, with match out of hand, it has City back atop the Premier League.
Now I am totally going off this stat about 3 weeks after hearing it. So
okay,
if I'm not totally right. Pep Guardiola, as a manager, I believe has won 6 league titles. In all 6 of those, well, if he's won 6, if he's won 7, whatever. Every season he has won the league, whether it be Barcelona, Bayern Munich, or Manchester City, he has been at the top of the table and has not relinquished it going into October every time.
Wow.
Has never won a title when having to come chase someone down, as we're saying. If you look at Guardiola's teams over the years, those title-winning teams, those teams get on early season runs and basically steamroll and put titles away by February.
That's what he did last year at City. Yeah.
That's exactly what they did last year at City. And that's exactly what he does. And this year, that's not happening. So, and also, you know, now we saw this last year at City. This kind of hurt them in the Champions League. Those teams also, they expend so much energy trying to run away from the pack in September and October, November, December, January, and February, that sometimes by the end of the season, those teams are kind of, you know, cruising because they don't have to worry about the league. They've got double-digit leads in the league, and, you know, they can kind of turn their attention to other places, like when he was at Barcelona and winning Champions Leagues. This is not going to be that.
Nope.
Because it doesn't look like Liverpool's going away. It doesn't look like Spurs are going away. He does have the lead on Spurs. But, I mean, he at the very moment, yes, they lead the Premier League on goal differential, but that's at Liverpool have a match in hand. So any sort of result for Liverpool this weekend, they go right back top.
Do you know actually what technically Liverpool's match in hand is?
I believe it's the away match against United.
It is, yes.
Yeah. So, you know, so that'll be something to see. And that obviously, right, not looking like an easy match for them, but still, they got it. And this is a City team that they have already lost as many points this season as they did all of last season. I mean, it's just this is not the City juggernaut of a year ago. Not to say they're not extremely good and extremely capable of winning this league, but this is not the same juggernaut of a season ago where everything was just a foregone conclusion. I mean, they've already lost 4 matches this season.
Yeah.
I've just got a feeling going forward in this title race, this is the Premier League. And we look like we have a legitimate title race, which can only mean one thing: twists and turns.
Oh, yeah.
And narrative galore. I believe City, Liverpool, and Spurs all have points left to drop this season. Obviously, I know Liverpool and Spurs still play, so somebody's dropping points. And I believe, do we still have City Tottenham in part 2?
Yes.
Somebody's dropping points.
Yep.
And not only that, but City and Liverpool both play Manchester United. And I know Liverpool definitely played Chelsea at the end of God, we played Chelsea like the next to last match of the season. So.
Yep. And City have Chelsea coming up the weekend.
There you go. So there are still points to lose. You look at the records, City with 4 losses, Liverpool with only 1 loss, but Liverpool have 5 draws. And that's what's kind of kept this title race around. That said, Liverpool are on a historic run still. They're on their way to their greatest season of all time. Will it be enough to win the Premier League? I mean, this is Liverpool who have 18 English titles to their name. And they're on pace to have their greatest ever season, and you can't say that they're going to win the title. That's insanity. I mean, it is. And basically the thing is, too, you look at Spurs. Spurs are playing at a historic rate.
Yeah.
I mean, my God. They're saying it's going to take 96, 97 points to win the Premier League. Can you imagine Spurs finishing with 90 points and finishing third?
That would be, that would be heartbreaking and so Spurs at the same time.
Even if you don't draw a match this year, you don't kiss your sister there, you might as well make out with your brother at the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you score 91 points and finish third, Jesus Christ. And then somebody's going to give, Paul J won a title. Fuck you, man. He would have won the Premier League in like 3/4 of every other season. He just happens to have 2 teams on freaking historic runs this year. But like you said, that is like the epitome of so Spurs. Yeah. So I'm going to let you talk. I'm going to let this damn dog back in.
That's fine. It is just bizarre how this season has gone and how such a high level these top teams have been playing at. Even though we've kind of talked about Spurs, maybe even haven't quite hit their peak yet and are still right there. I do want to mention, though, for Arsenal, real quick, obviously they do fall again. They are now in 6th place. I don't think, real quick as I look at it, they're not in any real danger of dropping out of 6th. But, and please, as we love to say, go check out The Athletic. It's a great publication online. There was a fantastic article written, I believe either yesterday or today, about the financial situation over at Arsenal. And I want to pull it up real quick just so I can make sure everybody can
Spoiler, they ain't got no money.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm trying to see because I read it this morning. Where is it?
Ain't got no money.
Maybe I'm just not gonna find it. Maybe if I have to search for Arsenal here. But basically, if they don't make the chance, it's by Elliot Smith. Came out yesterday. It's titled "Arsenal's latest financial results show how desperately they need Champions League return." Short answer: they do. Oh God, do they need that money? And just to show you, of course, as we go into this this new age of the Premier League and what everybody's having to do. There was a comment, as much as we loathe internet comments, there was a comment from one Joe B on this article saying, "I tried to imagine what person could be a football fan and want to read a profit/loss chart in an article about their favorite club. Are you that person? I am not. You know what I like? Arsenal playing football." And the response from everybody that replied to this comment was basically like, well, when you don't see them playing in the Champions League for the next 7 years, this is pretty much why. So it's a fascinating read though. Again, from Elliott Smith. Go check it out on The Athletic. Always worth your time.
And my thought about that is, hey, dude, if you don't want to read a financial report, then don't read it.
Yeah.
Just go watch the match. That's fine. You know what? I don't read all the financial stuff because sometimes it drones on to me and I get bored with it. But you know what? I mean, I can also read between the lines and I can find the Cliff Notes version where, spoiler, Arsenal ain't got no fucking money.
Pretty much.
And if you don't make the Champions League, you ain't going to have no fucking money. Well, and guess who's going to have money? Yeah. The 4 teams that make it, and either Chelsea or United.
Yeah.
They got money. So, I mean, Arsenal, God, man, Arsene Wenger left them with such a shit show at the absolute wrong time.
Yeah.
All these years we heard about the war chest. Oh, go out and improve the squad. Oh, I do not need to improve my squad. I will improve from within. We have a young Nigerian who will do some shit. Let's score 3 goals and you'll sell him for an £8 million loss. We know. Yeah. And now suddenly when they're having to rebuild, the financial ramifications are just at an all-time high.
Yeah, and again, like, I understand because I hear about it from baseball fans all the time. I didn't want to read about, not that they're doing it in an English accent, obviously, but I didn't want to read about statistics and war and ultimate zone rating and blah, blah, blah. I
have no idea. You just had like 9 accents.
Yeah, I know, it was terrible. And so I get it. It's old school. You just want to pay attention to the actual sport. I understand. But this is also why when people are like, oh, I want to win a trophy. We talked a lot about this last week with about the trying to go for the cups, but the top 4 really matters. I looked at it. I can't remember when it was, a couple days ago. You make more from, I think you make 8 to 10 times as much for making the knockout stage of the Champions League than winning either domestic cup.
Yep.
And you make money every single round you win. So all that money combined from winning one of the domestic cups is like 8 to 10 times less than you get from just making it to the knockout stage of the Champions League. Not even winning the Champions League. Just get out of your group and you've made a fuck ton of money. And that's at the end of the day, that's what's going to build your success down the line. It's not sexy, but that's why Arsenal's in the situation they're in. And if they don't make the Champions League, it is going to be rough for them.
And I'd say, and no one gave Arsene Wenger as much grief as we did.
Yeah.
But, and of course, his 4th place trophy and, just all those years of getting to the round of 16 and getting knocked out, everybody just laughed and mocked. But right now it was like, shit, he was doing exactly what they needed.
I will argue one thing about that because I think you're exactly right. But I think the difference is when he was doing that, Spurs weren't really relevant yet until like the last year or 2. Right. And Liverpool was sort of relevant.
No, sometimes. Not anything like that.
But not
also City weren't what they are now.
Yeah, so this was you're finishing 4th when it's maybe a big 3. Yeah. And that's why we criticized Arsene so much. Yeah. If he was doing it now, we'd be like, okay, well, you're getting Arsenal back in the Champions League. That's actually not so bad. So when you're finishing 4th out of a top 6, that's pretty good. When you're finishing 4th out of a top 3, not so great.
Or when you're finishing 4th out of the big 4 and you're guaranteed to basically be one of those 4 teams and you can't do anything other than finish 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel that. But, I mean, it's almost ironic. If you don't really dive into it, it's somewhat ironic that right now the thing that Wenger got mocked for,
oh yeah, for sure,
like nonstop, was exactly what they need consistently.
There's only one solution. It's time to re-sign Arsene.
Oh my God! Bring him back.
Bring back Josie. Let's get the whole band back together.
Oh man, let's put, man, I really think that we should send Wenger and Josie to Everton as co-managers.
Oh, yeah, I think
they have to co-manage. and we just hire HBO to do Hard Knocks and follow them all year.
Brilliant, just
So
absolutely.
look, we've got you a different sort of football to cover. This is going to be magnificent.
That one's free, HBO. Ideas are free. These ideas are so free. Let's talk about our final match of the week, though. It was Monday Night Football on NBC Sports, in a fixture that has been what some would describe as a pantsing. Was not so this time. Liverpool have been getting the best of West Ham very well the last couple of times these two clubs have met. And Liverpool got started off well thanks to a dicey goal from Sadio Mane. Not that the goal itself from Mane was exquisite. It was.
Oh, the goal was magnificent. It was just James Miller being 4 yards offside.
Not only was he 4 yards offsides, he was 4 yards from the linesman who was just like, nah, it's good. We're fine.
Exactly. He just kind of like, oh, well, look. He's over there. Hello, James. Have a spot of tea later, friend, and do our laundry.
Oh, my God. Real quick, though, on that Mane goal, I followed the Zonal Marking Twitter account. Apparently, Mane is one of the most 50-50 players in the league of whether he shoots and scores with either foot. And that's actually what led to the goal, is because the defender couldn't tell which foot he was going to shoot with. Great goal for Mane, though, even though it really shouldn't have counted. That's not Mane's fault. But Liverpool went up 1-0, but they would not be able to hang on because of their inability to defend set pieces. West Ham gets one back from Mikel Antonio in the 28th minute, and it was game on from there. West Ham had a few more chances, at least one or two they absolutely should have buried to get a win there. Liverpool had a few chances of their own go begging, including a Divock Origi late chance that also would have been offsides, but it was never called.
It wasn't called.
Which is bizarre. But Origi almost saved Liverpool again, but couldn't quite do it this time like he did against Everton. And so it's 2 drop points from Liverpool as they come away from the London Stadium with a 1-1 result. And West now it's the talk again. Now after the draw and the draw last week against Leicester. Well, Liverpool they can't do it. They're stumbling in again. It's happening. They're ballers. Oh my God. But take us through it, Wes. You're obviously our resident Liverpool fan. You're also resident Mr. Positive. So I'm very interested to hear, as someone who is always
positive.
Yeah.
Actually, I had that tested recently. I am not positive.
Good for you, sir. Good for you. Good to hear.
I'm a single man. I had to get that taken care of.
I feel you. That's a story for another time. But this is something you've been always one to preach. Patience and understanding with this club, say for a few very rare times. So how is your mindset now going forward? Again, with match in hand, now level on points as we head into the 26th match of the year.
Oh God, you've got to fire Klopp and FSG must sell tomorrow.
Obviously.
Jesus, of course.
Klopp don't win anything in England.
God. Why did you ever sell Lewis? Sorry. Stevie G's a slipper.
We just got rid of Lazar Markovic. What are you doing?
Oh, you fucking.
I didn't realize Markovic still played for Liverpool.
God, yeah, I get reminded like every year around the transfer window that he's still there. But he's not anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, good for us. I really didn't realize till like 3 days after the window that we... It's like, oh yeah, hey, we got rid of Markovic. It's like, oh, okay, guys. The under 23s will miss his presence. Man, it was one of those matches, sort of scored against the run of play early. Mm-hmm. And you got that goal, and it was just the way it was taken by Mane. It was so smooth, so easy looking that, I didn't really go crazy. I just kind of threw my hands up and said, all right, here we go. We're good. Time to win. And I waited and waited and waited and waited, and we never fucking built on it. I think Liverpool had 3 shots on goal in the match.
6, according to the
6.
stats.
I think it was like maybe 3 after that or something. I mean, it was a long time. We did shit. It was one of those frustrating matches. We had all the possession and product. Defensively, right now, it is a patchwork. Trent Alexander-Arnold's been out. Joe Gomez has been out, and it looks like he's longer. As now suddenly he's got to have surgery on that leg. And Jesus Christ. Yeah, Joe Gomez is just so maddening because we finally saw how good he was this year. And then it's like, nope. Got to take that away from you. It's like, son of a bitch. I think we're kind of getting bit in the butt right now for letting Nathaniel Clyde go to Bournemouth.
Yeah.
As suddenly it'd be really nice to have a backup right back. I mean, literally, like, we sold or loaned out Nathaniel Clyde, and then a week later Trent gets hurt.
It's mind-boggling.
And, for as good a deputy as James Milner has been over the years, we miss so much with Trent gone.
Yeah.
We miss that speed, that pace, that athleticism down the side, the ability to get forward and to recover coming back. So much we miss by not having Trent Alexander-Arnold in there. And missing Gomez, not only missing Gomez, but missing Lovren because Joel Matip just – oh, man. Joel Matip can have a good game every now and then. But recently, Joel Matip has gotten into this idea of a freaking midfielder and can dribble forward. And, I'm all for, hey, man, if you've got the space up there and you can dribble it up, go. And Matip does well dribbling into space. But then it's like he gets to the end of it, he's like, oh, shit, I've still got the ball. What do I do now? Just let me kick it to the other team. And then he's 15 yards out of position, and we're scrambling trying to get back. And he certainly doesn't have the catch-up pace of a Joe Gomez. And I still think he's as good a defender as Dejan Lovren is. Hopefully Lovren will be back soon to try to help that out. When it comes to defensive partnerships at Liverpool, I think one is obviously Gomez-Van Dijk. But two, not too far behind, is Lovren and Van Dijk. Lovren and Van Dijk is a good partnership. I mean, Jesus, the guys to the Champions League final a year ago. They play well together because it really calms Lovren down. But I mean, we're definitely having some issues there. We just look a bit flat in midfield. We really missed Henderson and Wijnaldum in the midfield this weekend. Naby Keita is showing some flashes, but it might be season 2 before he really starts to show us anything. He just hasn't really adjusted well to the Premier League. Fabinho didn't have a great match. Roberto Firmino, that may have been the worst match I've ever seen him play in a Liverpool shirt the other day. I mean, I literally, until they took him off, forgot he was on the field.
Yikes.
That's how anonymous he was the other day. When we're getting killed in midfield, you lose a lot of what Mohamed Salah can do. Mane's been our best player over the last few weeks, and it's almost been like just boom or bust. We've got to have Mane score goals to get things going. It's just it's been the swoon for Liverpool. But I'll tell you, man, the way I see it, hopefully this has been our blip. And if this has been our blip with getting knocked out of the FA Cup City and having a pair of draws, and we're still in first, basically, match in hand, whatever, however you want to put it. I mean, if this is our blip and we can go back and get brother, I mean, you're going to get it somewhere. Hopefully that was it. And Liverpool could be in a good spot going forward. I mean, so there's my bleeding optimism.
There you go.
Hopefully this was the blip, and hopefully we will build on this and move forward.
I do think the weird thing about this Liverpool season, as we've hit this point, and I do think they're just too good to not turn it back around and move on from this. But there was a lot of times this year where we were like, well, they're winning matches ugly. This is not something Liverpool did a lot of. They're winning matches with defense. They're winning these 1-0 results where teams sit back, but we're still finding a way to, get those important goals and pull out wins where we had been getting draws. And it's like, if the offense ever kicks into gear, the way the defense is playing, hey, we're going to be ace. And I am wondering, as we've seen this blip, which right now is a blip, the offense hasn't quite kicked on, and the defense has just dropped its intensity down a notch. And that's my one concern, is that we all thought, oh, the defense is going to continue to be great and the offense will eventually catch up. But if the reverse happens and the offense stays kind of where it has all year and the defense starts to regress instead, that's where I get a little bit worried with Liverpool. And again, a lot of that, I think you touched on a lot of that. I think a lot of that is the injury situation for Liverpool, and that's played a big role in it. But it is something where I think a lot of us took for granted, that new Liverpool defense was the baseline, and that the offense would eventually catch back up to it over the course of the season, when that might not necessarily happen now.
Well, and once again, I mean, like we just said, luckily, knock on wood as we do, it hasn't been Van Dijk.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been Robertson, which are kind of the two main OGs in the back. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, those other two on the right side, it's nice to have the right ones over there. It's nice to not have, basically your fourth center half in Matip, and then, a midfielder playing right back. Mm-hmm. And, that right side, I mean, and that's where teams are really attacking Liverpool, is down that side. They're going at, they're going at James Milner. They're going at Matt side. And they're finding joy over there. In this one, it was the set pieces. A really nice set piece they scored on. That's it. It was just Liverpool were just poor getting off on the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason that should happen. And then later, they could have had a winner. Declan Rice had a free runner and just put it over the bar. By the way, just on the West Ham front, Declan Rice. What a player.
Yeah.
That kid's, I think he's 19.
Let me check.
And he's kind of got his choice. Does he want to play for England or does he want to play for the Republic of Ireland? And I think both of them will be very lucky to have him. That kid has the makings to be a superstar going forward.
Yeah.
The last real superstar that came through the academy at West Ham as a midfielder was Frank Lampard. Mm-hmm. And, if he turns into Frank Lampard 20 years later, shit, I mean, that's a hell of one. So, it'll be interesting to see who West Ham sell him to in 2 years. Will it be Liverpool, Chelsea, United, City? Who they sell him to? But Declan Rice looked really good. And that's a West Ham team who, God, they are so Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
I mean, they're giving up 4 in the freaking league or in the FA Cup. Whoever the hell it was who beat them from the lower league. And then you turn around and hold Liverpool to 1 goal. So, who the hell can figure West Ham out?
I mean, Pellegrini hasn't yet, so we'll see what they do over the last couple months of the season there, as they're starting to sit very comfortably, though, in the league after a very rocky start to their season. As we take a look going into the week that will be here, as I pull up the schedule here. Going into your next match, we already talked about Everton, Man City. Everton is terrible. So it's 7:30 this Saturday. United is right back at it, as they will be going to Fulham to take on that team. Liverpool will be hosting Bournemouth at 10 a.m. That's the offensive jumpstart right there. Is Bournemouth? Oh boy. 10 a.m. also has Southampton versus Cardiff in a low-table bash. Palace versus West Ham, Watford, Everton, and Huddersfield versus Arsenal. And then at 12:30, you get Brighton versus Burnley. So there you go. On Sunday at 8:30, you get Tottenham versus Leicester. That's a big match. And then also a huge match at 11 with Man City versus Chelsea. And then on Monday, Night Football on NBC Sports, 3 o'clock Monday, Wolves versus Newcastle. That could actually be pretty fun. As we look at the table, As we look at the table, as we mentioned, Man City is now tied on points with Liverpool, up on goal differential. Liverpool do, though, again, have match in hand. Tottenham just 5 points back of them in third, but are 7 up on Chelsea, who are in fourth place. United just 2 points behind Chelsea for that final Champions League spot, though. Arsenal 3 back of Chelsea in sixth. At the bottom of your heart, the relegation zone, Newcastle, Southampton, and Burnley are all at 24 points just outside the drop zone, while Cardiff is right there in 18th place, 2 points from safety. Fulham right now 7 points from safety in 19th place, and Huddersfield, they're 13 points adrift, and will very likely be our first relegated team of the year. So that is the Premier League talk. Real quick with the FA Cup replays that happened. Brighton and Hove beat West Brom 3-1 and added extra time. Good for them. Newport beat Middlesbrough 2-0. So that is a League 2 team making it to the round of 16. Wolves get just past Shrewsbury Town 3-2 thanks to a 62-minute goal from Ian Cavallero. QPR gets by Pompey 2-0, and Brentford beats Barnet 3-1, which knocks out the lowest remaining team in the competition. The National League side Barnet is now out, which means the lowest remaining team in is Newport County, who hosts Manchester City in the next round. So good luck with that, boys. That'll be interesting. Real quick for the fifth round, at the round of 16, there are 4, 5, 6, 7 Premier League teams left, and at least one of them will be eliminated as Chelsea plays Manchester United. That is next weekend, I think. Or wait, 15? Is that next weekend? Yeah, it's next weekend, starting February 15th. I don't know dates, because it starts on a Friday and ends on a Monday. It's weird. Yeah,
who cares?
So, yeah, who cares about the FA Cup? Champions League football, that's coming back next week. In the midweek, though, starting off with these 4 matches on February 12th is Manchester United. They will be hosting Paris Saint-Germain in the first leg. Same day, Roma will be hosting Porto. And on February 13th, Ajax gets Real Madrid, while Tottenham gets Borussia Dortmund. News coming out of that one, there is talk Marco Reus may not be able to play in that first leg match for Dortmund, which would be a big blow for them. And there's been whispers that maybe Harry Kane will be back on the bench for it. I doubt it, but you never know. Just whispers. But that is, I think, 2 big matches next week again, with Tottenham hosting Dortmund and United hosting PSG. Hey, Neymar's out for PSG, so maybe United has a chance. We'll see.
Did you have a chance to see any of Neymar's?
No, because I don't give a fuck.
Oh, it was magnificent. It was an all red affair.
Oh, makes sense.
Red lighting, everyone wore red. Neymar tearfully said the only thing he wanted for his birthday was a metatarsal so he could go help his team. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Sure you do, bud.
As long as that team's Barcelona.
Yeah. Hey.
Ayo.
Got him again. Now let's hit the news and notes as we mentioned our Premier League talk. Let's start with the transfer window. Not that much big happening. Maybe the biggest move is Michy Batshuayi, Mr. Mitsubishi himself, finally finding a suitor from Chelsea. As it's not Spurs. It's not another actual good team. He's heading over to Crystal Palace. Well, he'll be splitting time with Christian Benteke, a couple of wayward strikers over there under Big Wee Hodgson. Other than that, not much happened. Again, Lazar Markovic, as we mentioned, is on the move. Tom Carroll is switching championship sides. Everton got rid of a few people, including Yannick Balaze. And I'm trying to think if there's any other actual big moves. Andy King is moving out of Leicester to head towards Derby County. Peter Crouch is heading to Burnley, as we mentioned earlier when we talked about the Burnley game. I don't think, Wes, much else really happened this transfer window, though. The biggest story when I was watching the NBC thing was Christian Pulisic going to Chelsea, and that was almost a month ago. So not a very active transfer deadline day this January.
Well, most of the big clubs, aren't going to make moves in January, unless there's something really sitting out there. Kind of like looking at Liverpool a year ago, where obviously they sold Coutinho, brought in Van Dijk. But even really looking back at that, a lot of people feel, and I'm one of them, Van Dijk was already signed for that January anyway. That was a move that was going to be done in the summer, but then it got out and ruffled Southampton feathers, and they were just like, well, you know what? Fuck you. We're going to hold on to him, and you're going to pay a premium. But I mean, I don't think selling Coutinho really, in the long run, had anything to do with bringing in Van Dijk, and that was just a move that just happened to happen in January. So, and then Coutinho he was pushing to get out. You get those some, but I mean, really, the big clubs, the best clubs, aren't making January moves because they already have their team set.
Right.
Usually, if they're making a January move, it is an absolute necessity. And I mean, there were definitely some bandied about. I think also at the same time, I think that a lot of times the media is taking grains and trying to turn it into something because they're just trying to keep that media train. They're trying to keep the hype train rolling.
Oh yeah.
So because hey, that controversy's cash. That's what sells the newspapers. So we'll see. But I was surprised with the seeming lack of transfer activity.
Well, when you have a guy like Michy Batshuayi asking for $200,000 a week wages, that tends to stall things out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So let's give you a raise for sucking.
Oh my God, he's been terrible. And I'm like, I was one of his biggest defenders at Chelsea, and I'm just like, no, this guy's not really good.
It's like, and then when you do that, it's like, oh, so you don't really care about going to a team. You just care about getting your money or whatever it's worth.
I mean, he might not.
So when you run into somebody like that, it's probably best just hey, things didn't work out. Thanks. Good luck in your future endeavors.
Yeah. Bit of sad news as we close out news and notes. We did mention Emiliano Sala earlier on in the podcast. They have now found the plane he was on, the remnants of it, as he was flying over the English Channel on January 21st, this according to Sky Sports. Obviously, I mean, they weren't going to find him anyway. The search had mostly been called off, but I don't know how much solace it is that they at least found the actual wreckage now. But it is still an absolute tragedy that this young man, who again was going to be Cardiff's record signing and was a very young player, unfortunately had his life cut short by this terrible tragedy. So.
Yeah, and then just in the business side of this, there is some back and forth going on right now that I believe it's Nantes where he came from. That they're asking Cardiff. They're like, where's our transfer fee? And we sold you the player. That said, now that does sound hideous and horrible, but then when you look into it. Once he had signed his deal, which he had, Cardiff had insurance on the player, and therefore, since they had the insurance on the player, but they had yet to pay the transfer fee, they had gone through everything. So at that point, I think it would be better, take that money, give it to Nantes because it was their player that they kind of wanted. So. Now that said, you hate to drag money into this at this point, but this is still a business, so I think Cardiff just do the right thing,
Yeah, just do.
So, but yeah, it was that is just tragic, just devastating that it happened. So, and a really really emotional tribute to him when Cardiff won this past weekend. Scored the goal and they actually pulled out a shirt with him on it. So.
That's our second plane-related tragedy of this Premier League year. The Leicester City owner a couple months ago, and now this just real shame. So
very much.
Obviously no way to really or seg you from something like that to anything else. But we are going to, as we hit the watch for, and now this is where I ask Wes, what have you been watching in the week that was or the week that will be?
Well, I've been watching, and when we get done tonight, I'm going back to watching season 2. I am right near the end of it. It has been, Jesus, I've loved it. You know, a lot of people were up in arms about maybe some political things about it. I mean,
I heard a few people say the kid story wasn't very good.
Well, you know, at this point, I guess I've kind of gotten the kid story. It hasn't been the clearest of things put out there, but I like the kid.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put it that way. I like the kid. I like her. I've come to like her character more and more as this has gone on. I think her character's developed nicely. 13 episodes. I believe I'm in episode 11 right now, so I got a couple more to go. And, you know, when I had to break to come in here and talk to you tonight, I think I was about halfway through this episode. So I'm going to finish it up before I go to bed tonight and hopefully finish it up before I go back to work Friday. But, man, I mean, if you like season 1, obviously, I mean, Jesus, tune in and watch season 2. Frank fucks people up. People are getting fucked up in this season.
Shocking the Punisher would fuck people up.
Jesus, it's badass. And, you know, I don't think people are expecting a season 3 of Punisher, just because it seems like all the Marvel stuff is going away from Netflix, possibly going to Disney Plus so they can screw it all up in a few years.
Yeah.
Disney, good job. But season 3 has not been ruled out. So, I mean, I would like to see the continuing adventures of Frank Castle. I don't know if Billy Russo is going to be there or not. I don't know. Haven't got that far yet. Spoiler, the Punisher is still alive at this point of his own show.
What?
So I hope that didn't ruin anything for anyone. But I mean, I'll put it this way. I've been entertained.
Well, there you go.
Been entertained. And I saw a couple of movies this week. I'm trying to think what I went and saw. In the last week I went and saw They Shall Not Grow Old, which I think I talked about last week. My World War I documentary.
Yes.
And I saw The Trenches. I'm gonna tell you, if it's something you're interested in, that's a pretty damn gut wrenching piece. But it was really neat with all the restored film. I mean, it was colorized and they had sound. I mean, from like 1915 and 1916. I mean,
really
it's pretty freaking awesome. Peter Jackson did an awesome job on it. And then me and Callie went and saw The Kid Who Would Become King.
Yeah.
Which I'm gonna tell you, I got into that the whole time I was there. It's a fun little like updated kind of King Arthur kind of movie.
Yeah.
So it had a fun little story to it. Wasn't the worst thing I've seen. So yeah, there's my sterling recommendation for it.
Yay!
But I will say this: Punisher much more badass than The Kid Who Will Become King.
I'm somehow not surprised by that.
Go figure.
Well, as for my watch for, I only have to ask one question, Wes. Wes, are you caught up on the 9-9?
I think so. Yes.
So
yes, I found a way to watch my stuff.
So you are caught up to the episode of The Four Movements.
Yes, which was just beautiful, by the way.
Oh my god. Oh, my heart couldn't take it much more.
Greatness of Gina Lynn. I still can't decide if she's actually gone or not. So.
I think she is.
I still can't decide even after the episode. Decide if Gina's gone or not. So.
Yeah, it ended so abruptly too.
It did. It was a weird ending. So I guess we'll kind of see if she's back or not.
With an almost Cristiano Ronaldo-esque statue.
Where she? My favorite part was where she actually statue, including the sausage fingers.
Yes. Definitely not her sausage fingers. So disappointing. But we love you, Gina Linetti. Please come back to the 9-9 whenever you want. Please. I did hear, though, apparently, this season was supposed to be a 13-episode season on the NBC. But NBC ordered 5 more episodes, so it's going to be an 18-episode season. So,
hooray!
A little more 9/9 coming at you there. I was gonna say I hate Jake's hair, just like that one like weird curl tuft in the front on the side. I don't care for it, Mr. Peralta. I don't care. Peralta, you genius. Anyway, that was.
I think my favorite part of 9/9 is Charles Boyle has really evolved into becoming overt sexual and having no idea that he. I mean, it's just like they just kicked it up, and it is hilarious.
Oh, it's great. We love.
I mean, it's
Charles
like
Boyle.
everything he says is like a "that's what she said" joke, but he has no idea he's saying it. It's just, ugh.
There's only
It's so uncomfortable watching Charles, and that's what makes him maybe the best character on that show to me.
I think there's only one time. I think it was an episode. I don't remember the rest of it, but it was where a woman had died in her apartment, and he and Rosa went to go see it, and they decided to both try to sweet talk the landlord to so that they could get the apartment. And I'm gonna suck you off so good. She's like, Rosa's like, you understand what you're saying? No, I'm just gonna suck you off. So, oh, now I see it. Yep, smart. Yeah, that's bad. Ooh, I was like, a little bit of self-awareness sometimes, Charles. Just a little bit.
It's like he's gotten worse, which makes him even funnier.
Oh, Charles Boyle. But speaking of a complete lack of self-awareness, Wes, what is this? Why am I getting tweets about Dean Ambrose on my timeline?
Apparently, Dean Ambrose has turned down a contract offer, a lucrative offer to stay with WWE, and he will be departing at the end of his contract.
Wow. Well,
is that it?
Sure, I guess so. I was just using that as a segue into So Raw, but
oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's the story on that. Is apparently Ambrose has turned down a contract. I was thinking we might have touched on this last week.
A little bit, but I guess like tonight it's getting kind of confirmed.
No, I haven't personally seen anything. I haven't really hit up anything, but I kind of thought it was somewhat of a done deal. But Ambrose looks like he's on his way out. And with that said, there is a rumor going out that and it may be Ambrose, may not be, that AEW has made a very lucrative offer to a current WWE superstar. Now, just taking a look at contracts that are coming up, as we say, it's already confirmed pretty much Dean Ambrose is going to be his way. AJ Styles contract and Shinsuke Nakamura contract are coming up. I would really be shocked to see AJ Styles leave at this time. I mean, he's basically one of the top guys in the company. Nakamura, I'm going to tell you, Nakamura came into such fanfare, such hype, and on NXT he was amazing, but since coming to the main roster, Nakamura has somewhat fallen flat.
Dick punching.
Yeah, I mean, they had him, everything was looking good, and then all punching heel.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we didn't want to see Nakamura as a dick punching heel. If you're going to make Nakamura a heel, do it with him just being a badass.
Yeah.
Just like messing people up. Don't turn him into a dick puncher. He's freaking Nakamura. And I really don't think he's ever recovered.
Yeah.
That character's never recovered. And that is a damn shame because at this time last year, I mean, you remember, I was like giddy with anticipation of that wrestling showdown.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, so it's been a little less than a year since it's kind of all gone to shit for Nakamura. And of course, with his Japan ties, Bucks, with their Japan ties, Omega and Nakamura had some before Nakamura left to come to WWE.
Mm-hmm.
That could be one. It could be Dean Ambrose. I mean, there are no. I know, it's like the wrestling rumor mill is basically on par, if not more outlandish than the football transfer window rumor mill.
Yeah, boys.
I mean, you literally have no damn idea. So. And it could be anybody. I mean, it could be me sitting here making something up on Twitter. Oh, my God, guess what? I heard that Shawn Michaels is going to come out of retirement and wrestle in Japan. What? Where'd you hear that? Oh, I just heard it. I'm reputable, so shit. Yeah, whatever. So, I mean, people make shit up a lot, and a lot goes around there. But that would be big. Mm-hmm. As far as in the ring, Two of the biggest matches that they're going to be at WrestleMania, Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar, and then Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. Right now, both Rollins and Becky Lynch are nursing injuries, trying to get healthy for the big show. It looks like, with Rollins being in the program he's in, with Lynch being in the program she's in, you can keep them out of the ring for a month or so if you need to, because they're already locked into their event. So they can just build, and especially Rollins, Lesnar's certainly not going to be there. So, you don't have to have Seth Rollins getting his ass whooped by Lesnar every week or something. So that'll be an interesting build to that. But, hopefully Rollins soon, because, man, Rollins, it's like it's his time to shine now. He's such a big-time performer. To me, him and Styles are on par as the two best in WWE. That's big time. Ronda Rousey, or not Ronda Rousey, shit on that. Becky Lynch right now may be the star in WWE, male or female. So damn over. She's nursing an injury, and I think they played that suspended the other night by Stephanie McMahon. So now with her, they're going to play a suspension angle, which should give her time to get healthy for WrestleMania as well. But those are definitely the two big out-of-the-ring storylines, non-storylines to keep up with is going to be the injury status of those two going forward. Those two are as hot as they've ever been right now, and it would be a damnable shame to see something happen and them lose their WrestleMania because they're both so – that is probably the most overmatched female in the company right now, and it would be a huge loss to lose those two going to WrestleMania. But as far as that's pretty much what I got this week's.
Gotcha. When is WrestleMania?
First weekend in April.
Okay.
Let me look real fast. I think I got it in my phone. WrestleMania.
Stalling for
maybe it's the 7th.
Let's see if
maybe it's either the 7th or the 14th. I will say it's the 7th. That's usually around the right.
WrestleMania 35 is on Sunday, April 7th, starting at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Jeez, God.
Starting at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time and ending at
that doesn't
1
include the 6 pre-show. That doesn't include the 6 pre-show.
Oh, thanks for that, Sir. That was really good. You should
on the spot, girl.
She should start being a part of So Raw, I guess. She got tired. No, this is what happened. She got tired of every time we talked about Alexa going off. So she's like, bitch, this is my turf.
Alexa now lives in a different room in my new abode, and will not be bothering anytime soon. Because I don't plan on recording in said room.
There we go. So that'll do it for So Raw, and that'll do it for this edition of the Foreign Affair podcast. Once again, big thanks to our podcast providers, NGSC Sports, NGSCsports.com, We Never Stop, as well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. You can find them on social media, as well as us on Twitter as a collective. We are at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
I'm at West Bradshaw 21.
I am at Edward Green. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube via our parent show, the All News Sports Show, which is still getting likes. Thanks, guys. You can also email us at allnewsportshow@gmail.com. Thanks to our podcast providers on the internet, including podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, Google Play Music, and the iTunes Music Store. Thanks, guys. We'll be back next week. I think we're normal, and then the week after is...
You'll get a Liverpool corner.
Yeah, we'll get an Anfield corner, but are we still maybe doing that special thing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Next week after. Yeah, week after. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next week will be normal. 2 weeks after that, we'll have, I think, where we do most of it live. Because you guys play on the Tuesday, right?
Correct.
Okay. So we'll be able to do pretty much everything, or depending on, I guess, on how much time you have. We'll do as much as we can, but especially knock out the Champions League matches from that day, with Liverpool being there. And then we'll go from there with more tape stuff. But next week, we'll be right back here live to break down what happened as the Champions League knockout stage starts and what will surely be another crazy weekend in the Premier League. So, Wes, before we get out of here, though, is there anything else you'd like to add?
And I'd just like to extend the congratulations of the podcast to that plucky underdog who really just needed one good thing to happen to him in his life. And that's you, Tom Brady.
Nobody believed in us.
No one's ever believed in Tom Brady. No one ever seen Tom Brady succeed at anything. I'd like to congratulate him, his Brazilian underwear model wife, his pair of Uggs that I'm sure he put on after the ball game.
Oh my God!
And I hope he can find somewhere in his shanty home to place a single winning ring from a Super Bowl. Good job, Tom Brady. I'll tell you, he's overcome all the odds. Congratulations!
I swear to God, that of all these storylines that came out of that game, with the Rams being terrible offensively and Sean McVay looking like a deer in the headlights along with Jared Goff, and Todd Gurley not doing shit all, unfortunately.
Didn't help that they didn't give him the damn ball.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what I meant. He didn't get to do shit all, is I guess what I should have said. But the narrative that came out immediately after of all the Patriots saying nobody believed in us. Bitch, you're the Patriots. Bitch, are you for real? Come on.
You've only now been to 9 Super Bowls in the last 16 years. You've literally been to more than half of the Super Bowls since Brady came into the league.
It's so dumb. And nobody believed in us. Yeah, fuck you. Nobody. You were the odds-on favorites to win. Nobody believed in you.
You were the favorites. Yeah, you were the damn favorites. I mean, yes, I will give it to them. They weren't the sexy pick because out of the 5 monster offensive teams, and instead they got the Patriots, which just pissed everybody off. It's not that no one believed in you. No one wanted you to win.
Yeah.
It's just everybody hates you.
It's a very, very
That's
big
all
difference.
it is. It's just everybody hates you. It's not that no one believed in us. No, everyone's just pulling for whoever played against you.
Yeah.
Except for New Orleans fans who kind of took our position and don't believe that the Super Bowl occurred. So.
Yeah. Way big ratings down there. Also, gotta suck. I imagine there's probably a lot of Falcons fans that went to this Super Bowl, if there is such a thing as Falcons fans. Being that the Super Bowl was in Atlanta, I imagine that they all went to go cheer against Tom Brady again, and again had their dreams crushed. So that was fun.
Now, real quick, speaking of someone at the Super Bowl, guess who was at the Super Bowl as the runner-up for the National High School Coach of the Year? Great friend of the former television show, Mr. Jeff Craddock.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
I didn't know about this.
He was there was the Carolina Panthers. I believe every state had a coach nominated, or basically the Panthers nominated Jeff Craddock as National Coach of the Year. He finished as runner-up.
Oh my! I'm pulling up from the News and Observer right now
because he's Jeff fucking Craddock, and he is that damn good.
Oh god! I'm as I pull up this News and Observer article with video that is somehow worse than anything we ever produced, which is
that's hard to do, but
yeah, they achieved it somehow. Wow!
Must have been Channel 20 in Rocky Mountain did that video.
Yeah. I guess you still have to talk good about them, don't you?
And we're the number 1 local broadcasting channel.
Oh my god! Wow. It was an all expense paid trip, and his second place finish means Tarboro High School receive a $10,000 donation from the NFL. Wow.
And Craddock himself actually got $5,000. Said he was going to put it into the $10,000. They were going to build a new weight room in Tarboro.
Wow.
I mean, dude, when you're basically the offspring of the Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, he's JC.
Yeah, he is the true Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, Jeff Craddock.
Jeff Craddock superstar. Wow, that's cool. Good for him.
Oh my God, you might have just given me my theme for next year.
Jeff Craddock superstar.
Jeff Craddock superstar.
Oh, this is amazing. Oh, I'm so glad I did this.
By the way, Jesus Christ Superstar by far my favorite on music.
Really?
Oh, love it. Seen it twice.
Huh. I think I saw it once growing up.
Saw it once growing up and saw it again when I grew up.
I I'm
Love
part.
on the soundtrack.
It probably has to do with memories of like my family, whatever. I have a very soft spot for Phantom of the Opera. Like I've seen that probably like 3 times, and it's fantastic.
Well,
Really intangible.
we'll have our reasons.
We all do. But hey, we know you have reasons for tuning into the Foreign Affair podcast, and we appreciate
Whatever
you.
they are, thanks.
Thanks. If you're in the Balkans and this is the only form of entertainment you have, thanks so much for tuning in. And we'll catch you guys next week for episode 249 of the Foreign Affair podcast. Until then, everyone stay safe and enjoy the football.
Das Dania to all you in Sarajevo.
Yes.
Good night, Sarajevo.
Oh, it's not Christmas in Sarajevo anymore.
No, it's not.
This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to ngscsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.